Minutes past 9 o'clock right now, and oh, we love it. We're in the Wood Harbor kitchen, and this guy is along with us. We're talking about Chef Danny Wolf from the U.S. Army Reserve. Yes, this guy is a award-winning chef, and yes, he is in the Army. And some folks might be saying, oh, what do you mean? You cook and you're in the Army? You're a chef and you serve in the Army by doing that? How did that all come about?
Well, what started is when I first came in, I was decided I wanted to be a cook. Mom and Dad said, why are you going to be, you do that, you can score anything to do. Well, I was a wrestler, so as a wrestler, you know, you love food and like to write. And
yeah, you couldn't have guessed you were a wrestler,
no.
Danny. So.
And so, you know, I came in as a cook, and this was 1976. Fort Jackson, South Carolina is where I went. Then my first assignment was in Germany, and I was still a young kid there, 19 years old, and there was a competition there for baking. And it was civilians got a bunch of German chefs and some French in that. Well, I didn't know any better. I entered it.
No, what were you trying to bake? Or was it open just baking?
They give you a mystery basket for your baking. Raw ingredients. They tell you what they want you to create out of it. So it's almost like an Iron Chef, but it's a little different because you got to understand the chemistry and the components of how everything blends without a recipe. In baking, it's really difficult because, you know, you can guess on other things, but baking you can't. You got to be precise when you're baking. And so I ended up winning it.
What did you end up making?
I ended up doing an apple strudel, what I did.
You're Germany, of course you would. Yeah, of course you would.
And just the way with the presentation and how everything turned out, I was very lucky that day, but it all turned out perfect. And it just shocked everybody because, first of all, I was an American. I was in the military, you know, and there's just no way somebody could go and do this, you know. Well, I proved them wrong. After that, the Army took...
So go ahead.
Yeah, the Army took an interest in me, and they sent me to French cuisine school.
Really?
Bartending school, pasta school, and then my job was protocol, working protocol. I'd work with any military VIPs that would come in. And because our standard, we had different standards, but we really didn't have a standard set up how you handle military VIPs, because it's a little different than your normal civilian VIPs, from even how you accept a card and where you put a business card in that. And so my job was going around and helping doing the standards and that for NA VIPs. And then one time they had a big function there at the White House, and it's about 2:30 in the morning. We actually were part of it because we had the Prime Minister, which was also a general of Portugal. And so we're kind of resting, myself and two other cooks. And then here comes President Reagan. Comes down the stairs, comes in. Of course, we jump up right away. Can we help you, sir? What can we do to help you? And he kind of said, well, it's okay, you know, and I'm not good at it. But we kept on wanting to make something. He says, no, I'll make it myself. And so he decided he wanted an omelet. So he started to make the omelet, and then he asked us if we wanted to, so we did. So he made all of us omelets.
Are you serious?
Yes. And I call these, actually now I call these my Reagan omelets. And the way they make them, he showed us how to make them, they actually blow up like a souffle, and they're really good. So we talked about maybe 20 minutes roughly, and then you know who came downstairs, and he had to go back up.
Yeah.
But it was fun. You know, we had a lot of things, got to see a lot of nice things like that.
So you've cooked with, not only for President Reagan, who else have you cooked for?
Prince Charles, the Prime Minister of England, several. I mean, there are a whole plethora of VIPs I would cook for.
So presidents are on your guest list, so to speak.
Yes.
Yeah, that is great. Now, we had to come in, and we love when Chef Wolf comes in, because whatever you create is golden. It's magic when you do this. But today you are creating something that we saw a description of this, and this is a little unusual. What do you have in front of us?
Okay, and this is normally bigger slices, what I do, but I figured on TV it'd look better. But what it is it's 3 pies baked in each cake. The bottom one is pecan pie, baked in a spice cake. The next layer is a cherry baked in a chocolate. The next one is an apple pie baked in a vanilla bean. So what you do is, you bake them all, you follow the instructions in that. You can cheat if you want. It's not a problem. You don't have to bake your pies from scratch.
All right.
You can buy the ones from the store, like I did here, to help expedite, but they have to, make sure they're raw. And you follow the baking instructions for the cake. and that should work for you. Make sure your oven's at the
All
right temperature.
So this is kind of like your version of the turducken. I've already seen that on the football games, but the turducken, but a dessert form.
Right, and you can vary it any time you want with pie. You can do a pumpkin pie. You don't have. In fact, I almost recommend something like a pumpkin pie, no custard pies, because it's a little thicker than the cherry pie. But whatever fits. And then around the edges, I put some walnuts and a little bit of streusel.
All right, so let's create some of this stuff here. You know I like to do this.
What we're going to do is I already put the cake mix in there. Okay. And then I did my mise en place, okay?
Now, what is mise en place?
Mise en place, and I trust you, if you do this at home, Thanksgiving will be a lot easier. First thing you do is get all your ingredients out and measure them. Get in disposable cups or whatever. So everything's all out. It seems like it takes time, but as soon as you put your ingredient, you throw the cup away. Boom, boom, boom. You're not cleaning up all kinds of dishes.
That's true.
All right, and then, and you know, the problem is you have this big meal, and then afterwards go, oh, who's going to clean the dishes up? This makes it a lot easier. It fits truly to the clean and go.
So there's your first tip. Put all your pre-measured ingredients in disposable cups. That way when you dump them out, you can pitch them.
Right.
Got it.
You can do it the day before if you get little lids or saran wrap over it. So we have the cake mix. I actually have the water, the eggs, and the vegetable oil already in here.
And it's all mixed up. You saw that
It's all
earlier.
mixed up, and
you can just all dump it in at
dump
once?
it at one time, yeah, and just mix it up with the mixer.
I'm the mixer. I'm the electric mixer.
I was gonna say,
There you go.
now you want kind of a there you go.
Okay, a
Yeah.
little more action on there.
Right.
You know what I love seeing? I love seeing Chef over here. I'm doing it really slow, and he's gnawing at the bit, trying to grab the whisk out of my hand here. That's funny. All right, so we have it like a cake batter consistency here. You
Exactly.
See that?
Yep.
Okay.
And what we're gonna do, and again,
Use your containers
all right.
to keep everything clean. You put it in the old container. You just dump the
Same
liquid.
thing if you use the mixer or something. Now what we do is very important. You get, if you got to look at the size of your pies, okay? If they're 9-inch, you got to get a tin a little bigger than that. And if you buy the store bought, you might have to take a little bit of the crust off, but that's not going to hurt. But you get whatever,
Go ahead, got it.
whatever spray you have at home. You're still going to coat the whole pan,
Got it.
okay?
It
And
does
of
make
course
a
the
difference.
size.
Yeah. Load up the sides.
And then you put the wax paper inside. You cut some wax paper. This gives you the
so this
extra
is
little-
nothing special, just plain old wax paper.
Yeah, just wax paper.
And you're laying it on the bottom of the pan here.
Right. And what we're going to do at first is go ahead and put a little bit on the bottom. We're going to put like maybe a quarter of it on the bottom.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
Now, what's the purpose of that?
So you got your base underneath your pie.
Oh, so this is kind of like the glue on the bottom of where the
Right.
pie's going to go.
A little more. We'll just do a
Little
little
more?
bit more. And I want to, okay.
Yeah, we're gonna be cooking this here in a little bit too, just so you know. So this isn't just for show. This is
Okay.
for eats.
There's different ways of
Okay.
leveling it, you know, like this. Or if you got a nice smooth, you can turn a couple times like this.
Centrifugal force.
Right. Okay, so now what you do is you take your pie.
Make sure you take it out of the tin.
Now it goes in here. Make sure it's kind of easy, you know, right in there like that.
So it's a stuffed cake.
Right. And then you put a little, you know.
Here, take the weapon. Okay.
All right.
And then dump it on top.
Dump it on top. You don't need a lot on top. You want to get some of the more on the sides here so it starts to fill it in.
Just to seal it.
Yeah. And I've tried other ways of doing it where you cook the pies and then cut the cake and put it in. Mm-hmm. And
Keep going, Danny. You can,
All right.
okay.
We're going to put some more in there around the sides.
Got it.
Got it. Oops, I got some on your suit.
All right, so this thing, the whole pie now has a coating of this cake mix
Right.
on top of it that we mixed it in front of here. And so you have all this ready to go here, so it's sealed up. Now, you want to get this thing centered in the pan too,
Right.
I would take it?
Yes.
Now, what is going to happen once we do this?
Now it goes in the oven at 350 degrees. Set your time. Remember, you got less cake now, so it could cook a little quicker. So set
So
your,
what, are you just trying to cook the cake itself
the
now,
cake
or-
and the pie.
And the pie both.
Right. So you got to watch it when it's cooking. The thing you got to remember when you go to test it, you got, you know, something in the center that's creamy. You know, it could be your cherry, your pumpkin, whatever it is. So when you do the little fork test, just remember that. So
Now,
you get them.
you mentioned that these are 3 different pies at once. Now, so you're going to have 3 of these.
Right. So one would be, this is the apple, so that'd be like the vanilla spice. The next one would be your cherry, and each one like that. Then you put them in the oven.
Now, can you cook them all at the same time?
Yes,
or
you
do
can.
You cook them individually?
No, as long as you buy the cake mixes at, say, the same time, you'll be okay.
Okay. So keep
And
it
that-
uniform.
Right.
Okay. Perfect. So we cook this. How long are we keeping them in the oven at 350?
About 20, 25 minutes, and see where it's at. It depends on your oven. You might have to go a little longer. It's kind of the old test thing with your little your little toothpick or whatever you're checking it with. And then what happens with it after cuts? You want it completely cool. All right. And remember, it's going to take longer to cool because the inside is still hot. And something to keep in mind.
How long are we talking here? A couple hours?
Yeah. I actually put them in the freezer for a short period of time. Something a lot of people don't realize, but when you pull something out of the oven, it usually rises still 10 degrees when it comes out of the oven. Okay. And that's why sometimes you might pull something out and you think it's just right, and all of a sudden it gets kind of overdone. They're like cookies or something like that. Keep that in mind. It's still going to rise at least 10 degrees for a little bit before it starts to go down. It's just the heat going in it.
So we got them cooled down, and then what do we just stack them up?
Yeah, what you do is then they come out real easy because what we did with the pan liner. You know, you stack them, you take them out, wax paper over the top, boom, take it out.
Take the wax paper off.
Right.
Okay.
And then you start to assemble your cake. The important part is, and this is bigger than normal, cake ends up being heavy because you think of your 3 pies. You know, that's 3-4 pounds, depends on the size of the pies. So it can get heavy. So whatever you use on the bottom is very important that it can handle it because it's also going to get some moisture. So keep that in mind. You know,
how you stack them.
So what you'll do now is you got your board you're putting it on. So you put your pecan, you put a little bit of frosting on there, just a little bit of frosting on the top, just enough to adhere. The devil's food with the cherry, boom, you put that on. You do the same thing with apple. And then you frost the whole cake all the way around. And then for decorations, also I recommend putting dowel rods in it.
To keep it from shifting.
Yeah, because the pies will shift a little bit. And in fact, you can make it a day or two ahead of time and put it in the fridge and just pull it out shortly before service.
So it firms up a little bit.
So it firms up.
Okay.
And then what you do if you want, and it's optional, some people don't like nuts or might have nut allergies, but I took pecans and I actually went around the side of the pie.
Coated it around the side.
Side of the pie. And then on the top, I did some caramel drizzle and chocolate drizzle.
And this is what it comes out looking like.
Yep. Again, that's a big piece, and that's actually upside down.
It's upside down.
This one is too. Yeah.
Okay, because again, with the heavier stuff on the bottom and the lighter stuff on top, look at that. Does that look awesome or what? So we're gonna have to dive. We're gonna have to dive into this, Danny.
Yeah, that's why I got some forks here.
Okay. Where are your forks? Oh, right up front. Try to use a knife. Oh my goodness.
And it's the most important part is you have to have a really good knife.
Preparation too. Yeah.
Right. And it's going to be tall like a tier cake. Most time when you do wedding cakes, you cut in different tiers. On this one, it's going to be a long sliver. So you got to think of your plate because to appreciate the cake, you need to get each taste in there because they blend together. It kind of surprises your tongue. It's wow, what is this? You know, it's not used to that.
Well, wonderful. So again, you want to see this, folks, it'll be up on the website here coming up in just a little bit. Chef Danny Wolf, thank you. U.S. Army Reserve. How about this for Thanksgiving? Would this be a great surprise for everybody or what? All right, folks, thank you so much for watching this. We will be right back. And when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit of politics for the final time this year. Democrats are on deck next on CW Iowa Live.